As far as I know, this is the first time ever that a mainstream archaeologist has sat down in a public forum and debated somebody who's looking at the past from an alternative point of view. I don't think there's an archaeological conspiracy against me. I'm not so conceited. I don't imagine there's a conspiracy. I don't think archaeologists are sitting together in a cabal conspiring against me. I think that archaeology is locked into a mindset about the past where my ideas simply seem preposterous. And I think the lost civilization that I'm thinking like something missing in the story of our past, to the extent that I can put form on it, I think we're looking at a civilization, like all civilizations, that emerged out of shamanism. I believe that they did have rather advanced astronomy and a knowledge of the world, but I don't compare. When I speak of a 19th century level of technology, I'm talking specifically about knowledge of longitude. The longitude problem was not solved by our civilization until the middle of the 18th century. And I'm talking about knowledge of very hard to observe astronomical phenomena such as the precession of the equinoxes. You're telling us that archaeology is very keen on new ideas and wants to really explore and investigate the past. Is that right?
That's my perspective, yeah.
That's your perspective. All right. Let's have a look at Clovis first. Archaeologists can be very, very mean to other archaeologists who disagree with them. And the example of this is Jacques Cinq-Mars, who investigated Bluefish Caves in the Yukon and found evidence of human beings there more than 20,000 years ago. The reaction to that was not welcoming. The reaction to that was fury at Jacques Cinq-Mars. And it was a brutal experience for Jacques Cinq-Mars. His career was wrecked. His research funding was withdrawn. He was ignored by colleagues in the halls of academia. He was insulted and humiliated. It destroyed his life. But he was right. And I'd like to just mention Tom Dillehay. Tom Dillehay excavated the site of Monteverde in Chile. And he found evidence that human beings had been there 14,000, maybe as much as 18,000 years ago. That find was not welcomed. That find was massively attacked, particularly by American archaeologists. Tom Dillehay has been vindicated, and that he was absolutely correct all along. Look, there's the Sahara Desert. A fair bit of archaeology has been done in the Sahara Desert, but we're looking at 9.2 million square kilometers of the Sahara Desert. But the fact of the matter is, around about 1% of the Sahara has been excavated, and 99% hasn't. So to say that there's no possibility of any traces of a lost civilization in the Sahara seems to me a bit premature, particularly since during the African humid period, and there were several of them, the Sahara was green and fertile, and was a very attractive environment in which to live. I might come on to the ancient maps issue, but there's an ancient map up there which shows a green and fertile Sahara, and oddly it coincides very much with a radar survey of the Sahara done in 2015, showing river channels in exactly the places shown. 95% of the Amazon has simply not been investigated at all, and those bits that have been investigated are minuscule by comparison. Yet, where investigation is taking place in the Amazon, astonishing finds are being made. 27 million square kilometers of the Earth's surface was above water during the Ice Age and is underwater today. But to say that enough work has been done to rule out the possibility of a lost civilization seems to me absurd when we're dealing with 27 million square kilometers. And I have done more than 200 dives at Yonaguni. We're looking at a huge rocky outcrop with these two megalithic blocks on the side. But let's go round to the right of that rocky outcrop, and we find a rock-hewn area with steps. And those steps, archaeologists tend to argue this is all completely natural. And if we can find structures of this nature underwater on our very limited basis, then I would imagine that a detailed archaeological survey would find much more. So the submerged continental shelves, the Sahara Desert and the Amazon alone, these are three large underserved areas by archaeology. And I think it's premature for archaeology to say that they can rule out any possibility of a lost civilization.